Hi, my name is Travis Hulvey. This is task 3 for c219 of the MBA Healthcare Management Program. This program taught many competencies. Most have been useful in the workplace. Many have been utilized in my place of employment in a credit union. Some of those competencies that I have not seen in use are either not applicable to the credit union or were being used in an area of business that I don't oversee. I have especially developed 5 competencies, however, throughout the MBA program. Utilizing these competencies has made a big difference in the day-to-day and long-term outcomes for me. The first one, organizational performance methods. As the world is in constant change and the needs of the people and customers are always changing, a business and its departments must be prepared to adapt to stay aware and able to fulfill the needs of its customer base and to ensure it remains a viable business. This means the business must be able to see changes as they happen and be able to create new products, services, or ways to do business quickly to keep up with demand and competition. An example of this might be a cable television company. If the customer suddenly decides that they want to start getting movies anytime they want, the cable company needs to find a way to have that service available, or they risk losing customers to streaming services, for instance. Companies must always be prepared for change, looking for ways to evolve with the customer base. Changing for customers is only part of the constant change a business will undergo. They must always watch for strategies in how they do business. This may be customer service, manufacturing, research, any area where the business can innovate and save. It is an ongoing challenge to keep customers satisfied and keep costs down. This program teaches how to engage people and to involve them in the change. The employees often see changes happening because they're the first ones to see it because they're on the front line of the business. Having them feel that they're involved and important helps the business. Management can take concerns and suggestions from employees and make decisions on how things will be done. This may be a new procedure, product, new technology, or change in the organization, such as the flow of information. This then moves on to the training department. They will develop a way to teach it quickly and effectively to the company. Then all employees are trained on a new procedure or method. The employees are more likely to be excited to learn a new way of doing business when they feel that they had a hand in the development. This all leads to increased productivity. If the management and employees are watching for changes or roadblocks coming from internal or external business, internal or external, then the business should be able to adapt quickly and stay competitive. The key is not to stifle innovative thinking from any area of the business and know the current trends, all while keeping organizational control intact. The next competency is policy and program development. Ethics is extremely important in any business. This is true for individuals and for the entire organization. Management needs to establish the culture of strong ethics into its company and its employees. When considering any ethics programs or procedures, you want them to help guide employees to ethical choices in their day-to-day operations. With a strong ethical culture, ideally a company stays away from legal issues by having everyone from top to bottom on the same page regarding how to approach ethical dilemmas. Leadership is very important in the ethical culture of a company. When leaders are seen to be ethical by the entire company, it has a trickle-down effect. When employees see ethical decisions being made, they're more likely to make solid ethical decisions themselves. The ethical culture should begin to be taught and fostered in the initial training when the employee is hired. For employees that have been with the company for a longer period of time, teaching new, more ethical culture may need to be approached in a different manner. The senior employees may be asked to take surveys about their feelings towards ethical programs and ethical dilemmas and what type of choices they feel is the correct way or the correct method to go about when they face those dilemmas. This information is then used to understand the current mindset of the employee base. It is used to help the training department to create the training needed to make sure employees' individual ethics line up with that of the entire organization's ethics. Workers and companies need to be on the same page. There will usually be two types of programs for a company. One is compliance, which is regulations and laws that need to be followed. The other is value-based. This one would be more in line with integrity and is often less legal than compliance-based. Once the culture is in place, the workplace behavior, once the culture is in place, workplace behavior should be making legal and ethical decisions on the regular. The program will clearly be understood across the company, including any reward or disciplinary action that could come from different ethical decisions. The next competency is the customer relationship management. Every business has customers, and it's what sustains the business. But the business does not want any customer. It wants the perfect customer, which is the loyal customer to the business, to the products, to the services. Customer relationship management systems are designed to find the more profitable services and products and understand the upcoming demands so that forecasting will represent what needs to be produced. The system should be able to find customer leads, help turn those customers into loyal customers, and ensure ways to keep that loyalty. This is all done by understanding the customer, the products, the markets, and then putting all of that information together. Then the business should be able to know what products to make, how to produce, what customer base they're trying to sell it, and then the customer ends up getting the product and services that they desire, while the company pushes forward with more and more profits. The program should work by creating relationships with the customer. The customer should feel as if they're important. Companies can reach out to customers to check in on these satisfaction levels. It may be done through surveys, emails, phone calls, or more prevalent today would be social media outlets. The information is generally put into tracking software, large databases, and this helps the company and its management to know if people are satisfied and what changes in the products and service they want to see in the future. So the program is designed to learn about customers and products. It helps in the learning, the wants and the needs of the customers, and understanding the roles that quality and value play in the eyes of the customer. As more of the data is available, it becomes easier to push the right products in front of the right groups of customers. More data means the company can streamline product lines, make necessary changes to products as well. And if all this happens, the customers are happier because they get what they want, and it comes easier and quicker. This leads to retaining loyal customers. The end goal is to streamline all of the processes involved to getting the correct product to the correct consumer. So efficiency and customer satisfaction lead to better profits. The next competency would be theories of leadership. For any company to succeed, it needs solid leadership. Leadership is those in charge of the company that steer it to reaching the company goals. The leadership try to reach the vision that they set forth for the company. This means that leadership needs to have a multitude of skills. They need to be able to survey the business and the competition and see the strengths and weaknesses in both. They need the ability to foresee change on the horizon, make decisions quickly, so that the company can be proactive and not reactive. They need to be able to make decisions no matter how hard the decision. They need to make it quickly and unwavering. These decisions from leadership skill sets and knowledge base must lead the company to profitability and long-term success against old or new competition in an ever-changing business landscape. The knowledge base needs to consist of capabilities of not only their own company, but the competition as well needs to be known. They need to know their employees and what their capabilities are, and they need to know the expectations of employees and all stakeholders that they have for the leader. They should know the business that they are in better than anybody else in the company. There are certain skills along with the knowledge base that makes a strong leadership. They need to know how to solve conflict, motivate, empower employees, and empower managers as well, and have a strong ethics and a good, strong set of core values. Leadership needs to strive to always avoid failure, but not let failure lead to a poor decision-making process. Understanding when to take risk can pay off for the company. Some leaders take different approaches to reach the same goals. Some are very task-oriented, some are people-oriented. Those that are leaning towards task-oriented will see task as the main way to success. They will set out what needs to be done, meet each goal, then will work towards the goals to reach a final standard. There may be multiple layers of smaller goals to achieve in order to accomplish the final goal. With this type of leadership, it is often clear what each person's role and workload is. There is a clear way of getting to the end goal. It is a defined and structured style of management. It's easy to see the daily successes and failures because you either meet the goals or you don't. If hitting goals, for some employees, the hitting goals, they thrive. Some they need the extra structure because it helps them excel. However, there are employees that can feel like they're merely just a cog in a machine and that they're not important. So keeping an eye on morale is important. Employee retention can suffer if employees don't feel appreciated. Some leaders, on the other hand, go people-oriented. As the name suggests, they're trying to reach the goal by focusing on their employees. So basically, there's more of conversation in this style. The relationship with employees is important. The goals are given to the workers. The workers are often given some sort of incentive to hit the goals, but the method to reach the goal is a little less defined. It allows more flexibility to the team to work as it sees best to achieve the goals. The style usually leads to a very solid team and usually have open and understanding with one another on the team. With this comes open communication and the ability to be more efficient and focused, and employees feel that they're working for themselves and their fellow employees as opposed to just a company. There can be a drawback to this style, and it's actually the team dynamic. If that dynamic becomes greater than the goals of the team, it can lose efficiency. So it is possible that they become distracting to itself because it's too social while it works. So if a worker needs a little more structure and that person's in that group, they may get bored or they may just not get enough done through the day because there's too much distraction. So the leader needs to utilize the style that he prefers or feels is best if he's people-oriented, but he also needs to focus on the team, but make sure that the team focuses on the goal. In any style of leadership is chosen, the leader must be able to communicate the needs of the company. They need to be able to motivate the workers to achieve the goals. They need to be the main source of influence within the company. Leadership needs to be a strong-willed understanding while keeping the focus of the company as a whole on its primary objectives. It needs the followership of everyone within the company. This is done with clear visions being set for the company, and the goals must be clearly communicated. The company must be kept efficient and goal achieving. However, achieving these goals, the leader can't take all that credit. For the followership to take hold of the leadership must recognize the effort of the workers. Leadership can really be approached in many different ways. None of them are right, none of them are wrong. Every company will need a different style. Every employee, every situation is going to be handled differently. It is up to the leaders to determine the best managing styles to utilize for their company. The next competency is evaluating feasibility and profitability. The idea behind this is to decide if a new product or service is possible. Can it be done at a cost that is not too high? And will it be profitable? There are several important factors to determine this. The consumer markets have to be taken into consideration. The different competitions need to be taken into consideration. Just the cost involved with the company needs to understand its customers' buying decision process. So this will include the customer's problem recognition, information search, their alternative choices that they have, and then what purchase they actually make, and then deciding whether or not they feel that that purchase was a good decision. The company needs to know as much about the customer base's decision process as possible. This is true in most types of businesses and most markets. For instance, suppliers need to understand what a manufacturer needs, and the restaurant needs to know what foods a customer wants. Both types of businesses still benefit from knowing what the consumer, what the competition, and basically what was liked by the consumer in the past. So what the needs are by competition, consumer now, and in the past help shape basically the decision-making process now. So it'll include awareness on product and interest in the product and evaluation of the product, and then a trial period. If these succeed, the new product may be adopted. Price and non-price also play a part in whether customers want products. A price on a product is displaying a perceived value. The actual value of the product needs to be equal or greater than the value of the money spent to purchase it. If the price is high, it can make a product seem valuable as long as it does not get so high that the price actually outweighs the value to the customer. A low price could be a signal of low quality. The goal is to find the spot for your product and for the individual product that is not too high and not too low. Some items are meant to be on the low end of the market, and companies basically will do a cost leadership, so they try to sell more by being that cost leader with the cheapest price. Every market and every product is going to be unique. The 5 competencies that I learned, I have been able to actually utilize them in the workplace. The first being organizational performance methods. The biggest part of the performance methods is to be innovative or on top of change. This year at the credit union, we recognized the possibility that could impact our customers and therefore the credit union. In the beginning of March, we began to look at the possibility of a large amount of loans becoming delinquent. We recognized the possibility of layoffs and financial impact due to a possible virus outbreak. We needed a plan in place in case our business was impacted by many customers not being able to pay. It was determined the credit union was financially secure, and we needed a plan to both stay in business and help the customer base being impacted financially. We had to adjust the collections procedures and what we wanted to collect in terms of loan payments. It was determined that anyone with impact would be allowed to skip the month's payment. I had to come up with a new procedure for the department. The incoming workload would be heavier than normal and different. It was something that the credit union had never had to do before. So I teamed with one other person to develop a form that could be done as a DocuSign and signed electronic signature through an email. The document would go into the collections department in the form of a queue in the order that they were received. The account due date would then be advanced forward, and the advancement would be noted into a collections database as not to accidentally move loans multiple times and cause later auditing issues, and to have additional record in case we had not only internal auditors but state auditors come in as well, questioning the loan changes that we were doing at that time. So by having the customer ask for the deferment, it kept the credit union from moving every loan forward at the same time. So it didn't lower the revenue as much. This makes it financially easier for the credit union to sustain after that impact of lost revenue. It spreads it out and allows customers with no financial impact to continue to pay as normal. This was all a performance method. It was the ability to manage change, and it was important to be able to watch the market and the customers to determine the needs, the wants, and be able to change quickly and adapt and solve the problem for them and the credit union. Another one that I used at the credit union was policy and program development. Ethics is important in any business in all aspects, leader, employee, top to bottom, the whole company. Ethics is important. The credit union that I work for, they have a really strong set of ethics. When I started, it was already instilled all across the company. The only issue was really the collections department. As the company grew, it was clear that the basic code of ethics was great, but that there were dilemmas happening in the collections department more often, and they were very unique to that department. These could be giving one person a second chance to default on a loan or a repossession, but not the next. So there were certain laws that only a collections department would have to recognize that the regular code of ethics just didn't have a clear guideline on. So the department had a strong set of values and of right and wrong morality, but it was very easy to make mistakes for the individuals. We needed to be able to have an expanded code of ethics to help guide the many gray areas that arise in the department every day. We were left open to possible lawsuits due to these gray areas. We must be able to treat everyone basically exactly the same. So the code of ethics for the collections had to be adopted as part of the operating procedures. This was due to occasionally overlapping with legal compliance. I looked at most of our common issues that came up and addressed them using the current code of ethics and adding to it to fit the department needs, all while staying within the bounds of the law. This code had to encompass things like how we viewed repeat offenders or people that personally attacked our employees verbally, basically just anything that might be a unique situation where someone might have treated one customer differently than the next. So the code of ethics helped give protection to the customer while giving employees something firm to stand on while making decisions on an account. The new code also had to have verbiage about discussing accounts with other employees. The accounts in collections may have bankruptcy or lawsuits attached, so it needed to be confidential. The new code is an expanded version of the credit union's original code, but it merely has portions added in to help keep the collections department ethically and morally grounded. The next would be the customer relationship management. At my employer at the credit union, I helped to employ some aspects of the customer relationship management program that was put into place. We had several different types of information that we wanted to know how the members of the credit union felt. We wanted to know what areas the customer base wanted to see new ATMs and new branches put in place. So we were interested in this information because we were in an expansion period. The intention was to take the information gathered from the customers and combine that with the information that we had internally on the same topic. We could compare what the member wants and what the members felt they needed to create a forecast, and then figure the cost and potential profits from making certain decisions based off that information. We had internal ideas and options to all of these already, but we wanted to see what the members actually wanted, because as a credit union, the members are the customers, but their opinions are highly, highly valued as they are considered the owners of the company. So I set up surveys on social media platforms. The first survey was intended to basically just see where ATMs and branch locations were desired in the eyes of the customers. They were questions asking what type of businesses they liked having ATM access, what neighborhoods they felt needed an ATM or needed a branch. And there were times that they felt underserved in certain areas of the city. And then there were general questions to gauge where they wanted certain services. The next portion had maps with locations, and the locations that we had already internally considered for expansion. They were all marked on the map so the customer could see the choices, and they essentially went into the map and ranked them in order so that they could have a ranking of the new location possibilities. We took that customer feedback, poured over the information to determine exactly what the customer base wanted the most, and this was then compared to the top choices that the credit union management had. If the financing worked out, the locations were utilized, providing the space was still available. Then the remainder of the locations for ATMs were based off the company's cost to put them into the customer's desired locations. This is primarily because ATMs for the credit union is not a large source of revenue. It's more just a perk for the member. So for the remaining branch locations, we took the information from the customer's profiles and we mapped where everyone lived. If there seemed to be a large customer base that warranted building a new location, it was put into play. Then we looked at areas where we did not have many customers currently, but we knew that the area was heavily populated or growing quickly, and we looked at those as planned locations as well to help grow the membership of the credit union. The plan was very successful. Customer surveys the following years proved to have positive reviews, and the new locations helped us increase membership nearly 20%. So the increased market share in the area increased along with our profitability. The next is theories of leadership. Before I took charge in the collections department, it had some success, but the previous manager had great relationships with everybody. They had daily tasks, a weekly task, a monthly task, but there were loosely defined roles in the department. Nothing was really set in stone. So the work was typically done, but not always as fast as it should have been. And sometimes it was not consistent. So the previous manager was only a people-oriented type, but it took the department just so far. So I decided to utilize a task-oriented approach. I realized that the more defined roles and deadlines would help the department. I saw the past due accounts being worked, but at the will of the employees. I set a queue system in place to organize the workload. This put the accounts to work in an order of days past due as opposed to an amount past due as previously done. Then I assigned certain people in the department to work those queues as their primary function. This allowed for more accounts to be worked on a daily basis. Once everyone learned the new system, all the past due accounts were worked as opposed to only the high balance accounts. This increased revenue for the company because we were recouping lost dollars. So one person at this point now covered bankruptcy and one handled foreclosures as opposed to everybody having their hand in each jar. It streamlined the work for employees and they basically became specialists. I moved the department from people-oriented to a task-oriented department. To help with the desire to do the workloads, I worked with senior management to get a bonus structure in place based off of delinquencies. The department was more organized, more specialized, and this eventually led to increased efficiency and significantly better yearly numbers. The next competency that I used at the credit union was evaluating feasibility and profitability. Basically, the credit union was primarily just checking, savings, and then it did do small personal loans. Eventually, it moved into credit cards, auto loans, and larger personal loans, larger amounts for personal loans, and then eventually educational loans. Senior management brought forward the idea of introducing mortgages. This would be a new product for the credit union. I was part of the team that was tasked with deciding if this was going to be a good decision for our business. We had to determine what it would take to start offering these products and if we were even capable of doing so. We had to determine if the product was something that would help profits. I looked into the manpower and how much that would cost the company, meaning I determined how many employees it would take and how many we would need to hire and how many we already had on staff that could be transferred to the new mortgage department if it was developed. I had to determine the cost of these employees to have licensures and to originate and underwrite the mortgage loans. I studied other credit unions around the country to get an idea of their needs and what it took, and took that into consideration while determining our own needs. After determining the employee needs, I would, as to what that would take and what that would cost, we moved into what income would actually be generated, went through estimated income from interest, closing costs, transaction and late fees, and basically what type of revenues we were really going to be expecting. I compared the expected income to the expected cost, and as a team we discussed the possibilities and decided to move forward into that market cautiously. We decided to start with the more basic home loans, so we stayed away from the jumbo loans and some of the first-time home buyer loans, that sort of thing, and just did our basic in-house mortgages. So we stayed clear of home equity, secondary mortgages, anything where we weren't going to be the primary lien holder. We did move forward, and that turned out to be a pretty good success for us. So when utilizing the competencies and using them in the credit union, I did have a couple of times where I encountered some obstacles. The first one being customer relationship management. I had an obstacle with senior management, and the credit union was very conservative and really hadn't paid close attention to social media. So this meant when I approached them with the idea of helping to form a business plan based off of things like Twitter and Facebook, it wasn't received so highly. This was due to the company having a very small social media footprint. The marketing department focused mainly on advertisements in print and radio. Social media was more of a side note. It was there, but not monitored or utilized correctly. I convinced the senior management we needed to increase our social media presence, and I showed them other companies and gave examples of what I envisioned we could do with the credit union. To utilize the survey idea, we had to build up social media first, so I had to convince the senior management to invest in this, meaning a couple employees doing social media only. So that was a new cost for them, and I had to convince them of that. They were directed to use the entire work shift to get people to add us on social media platforms. This included sending friend requests or liking posts from members and posting content of our, we posted content about the credit union and what we offered, but we also focused on our employees and current members and did spotlights on them as well. We had daily focus on one of them to kind of give a sense of caring about the people. We also posted about other local businesses that utilized our services. This gave them a boost while quickly increasing the traffic to our own sites. The credit union also had a mascot, and it was actually well known in the area for quite some time, so we decided to make him his own social media account. This still had the business information and business offerings and products, but it was more fun and more silly, so it was just more of a quirky account. I added a person to our marketing team. This person was to do nothing but respond to the members on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. Some of the answers were related to business and some were just to be fun. In only 4 months, we had thousands of followers, and senior management was fairly pleased with this. The surveys ended up getting completed within 6 months of the initial suggestion. The The next time I kind of ran into an issue with using a competency, the obstacles came from the theories of leadership. The employees in the collections department were not all on board with the task-oriented style after years of self-management. So in my first meeting, I explained that I'd be moving to a task-driven unit, and I explained the need to get more work done daily. This was met with a little bit of hesitation. I knew the skill that I would need most for overcoming a group of employees that did good work but could be better was communication. I had to explain every decision and be transparent with the goals and the methods we would use to achieve those goals. I met with each employee individually. I asked what part of the job they liked, what didn't they like. I asked what they felt they did the best and what they did the worst in the department. I also asked what they felt the strengths of their coworkers were. I took the information after about a week of observation and began to define the roles within the company. Each time I gave an employee a certain role, I explained exactly what was expected and offered suggestions on the best way to achieve those goals. I did this with every member of the team. I also developed a workflow system in a computer system. This was designed for collections departments. I streamlined their work and had them specialize. I explained in detail how much more effective they can be with time. And with time, they would basically be getting more done and not having to actually be working harder than they were before. So this is when I introduced the bonus system with a clear and open communication, the bonus offering. It all decided to give it a try. So basically everyone decided that they would go for it. And after about a month of getting the new methods into place and everybody getting comfortable, the system came full circle, and it succeeded and is actually still in use today. The section 2C is discuss the two strengths that I displayed while working with the organization. The first one was capable of managing change. Being able to see change and manage it's just important. I've been able to manage change while in the workplace. The credit union has given me many opportunities to do so. One example was coming up with extra procedures to deal with the coming workload increase due to COVID-19. I helped come up with the documentation needed to request deferrals and the queues needed for the employees to work through all the different loans. This made a heavy and unusual workload easier and more efficient. The procedure has changed at times throughout the last couple of months. I've made adjustments as the situation is fluid and keeps changing. I have also had to manage change with my job. I have been suddenly handed a new position and needed to take over and exceed immediately. So when I took over the collections department, it was suddenly under my umbrella of departments, and I had to manage department and change in my personal workload. And I also had to deal with changes in the legal arena. A potential lawsuit came about, and it meant that we had to look at how we went about specific procedures. The auditors also investigated and suggested that it needed to be changed immediately. I had to come up with a new way to perform the collections duties in this particular situation. I had to rewrite some of the procedures and then immediately train employees and then prove to the attorneys and auditors that we made the necessary adjustments. Another strength is good communicator. I've always had to communicate the entire time that I've been with the credit union, especially in times such as trying to convince to push an agenda or train a new employee or train a manager. I must present the data and monthly numbers for the departments in a monthly board meeting with the board of directors. In these meetings, there are times I am questioned. I may need to defend my decisions and actions, explain what the plans are for the future, and I have to convey this message clearly. The board makes decisions based on the presentations I give. I have I have had to many times train large groups of employees at the same time. This can be a struggle at times, trying to maintain the attention, all while making sure the information is given and learned. Communication is one of the more important skills for any employee at any level. It helps to keep efficiency, keeps efficiency up and confusion low. This needs to be a key strength for leaders at all levels. I identified these strengths, I guess on my own. The capable of managing change. This was identified at the credit union over time. I had not seen it at first. One day I was actually the president of the company clearly and directly told me that that was a quality he liked in his management. And he mentioned that I seemed to have the ability and to hone it. So from that point forward, I began looking for change on the horizon, and I was given the collections department without notice and managed to make the changes in that department and handle my new workloads and basically change that whole department. And it was around that time when I identified that managing change was something that I can do and is probably actually a strength of mine. The other being the good communicator. This is one I was utilizing for some time before I identified it as a strength. I had always talked to employees and trained employees many times. Occasionally I would go back and answer questions multiple times. I had this happen occasionally after presentations as well. This was earlier on in my career. I began to focus on the communication and making my points. I learned to be more precise when speaking, and as I did presentations and trained more and more employees, the questions became less and less. The day it became clear was that it was a strength was after a training session of about 20 people. I talked at length about a new procedure we were adopting, and at the end of the lecture I had 0 questions. It was the first time in my experience with having no questions at the end. So the next day I did not have any follow-up emails, so it made me begin to reflect on recent presentations and realized that I'm actually communicating better, and it's really became a strength in my skill set. These strengths could be applied in future projects as well. Being able to manage change is always important. Being able to communicate is important and can go hand in hand with managing change. In most projects, problems come up. Sometimes the issues are small, but occasionally, especially in a new project, it can be major. A large setback means a lot of change to design or timelines. It has to be handled. It cannot make a project fail. The leader must be able to flow with the changes as they happen. Any changes that need to be done need to be communicated to the employees clearly and quickly. So the communication error that could happen could cause major setbacks, and major setbacks is a loss of revenue. I'll be overseeing another expansion in the next year. This will include opening 10 to 15 branch locations in another state. So I'll have a large amount of hiring and training, and it will have construction timelines. These often get off track and can set back the training timelines as well. So I must choose locations for the branches, find the locations I feel are best for the company, then I must present my findings to the board and senior management. This means a lot of communication, and the key decisions are made off of my presentations. These locations often fall through, and new locations have to be found and financed in short periods of time. When this happens, the change must be handled effectively. Nothing can be overlooked. Everything must be fixed quickly. After I develop a solution, after I come up with the solution, I must communicate this to my leadership. So those above me, the president, senior management, and the board of directors. So the new state that we're expanding into, it also has a revamping of some laws. So that means we'll be starting some new areas, have to kind of tweak some of the rules in the collections department again. So we may start business and immediately have to retrain or develop a new procedure. This is just another example of needing to manage change effectively and communicate effectively, as they often go hand in hand. We will have no choice but to change procedures to be legal. So this must be managed and redeveloped as needed. This leads to training. Concise communication is always necessary. Both of these strengths will be of the utmost importance to me in the following year or two. As we continue to grow and I have more and more responsibilities, I will rely on these skills more and more. They'll be utilized daily as I'm overseeing the biggest expansion that we've had to date. Throughout the MBA program, I've also had some lessons that were taught that weren't directly from the book. Those significant lessons, the first one is time management, basically that, and the second one, teaching myself. These skills very useful to virtually anybody in any type of career. So time management is a skill. It's very important in all types of business. The workloads for leaders are often heavy, and many tasks may have similar completion windows. This means having an understanding how to utilize time to achieve the goals. In short, time management is being able to be efficient and excuse me. In short, the time management is being able to be as efficient as possible in the time allotted. So knowing how long a task takes and what order to start the tasks, it's been learned throughout the courses. Many of the courses that I took ran at the same time as my work projects and personal life events, so I learned to utilize my time to the highest benefit that I could. Before the program, it was a weaker skill that I had, but throughout the program, it really became a strength. With the program being a study at my own pace, it was easy to first move slow and dawdle. As time went on, I found better and faster ways to study and learn to budget and plan out the use of my time to make sure everything is done the most effective way. As I got better at this skill, I procrastinated less and I found it easier to juggle the daily demands from work, school, and just life. The being able to teach myself has been a lesson I've learned throughout this MBA program. The skill, it's needed. The entire program is more of a learn on your own type of program. So this meant for the first time I was not going to a structured class with lectures and homework. The program is designed to make you teach yourself. So it taught me how to tackle new information that I needed to learn all on my own. I learned methods to learn more, and I learned a lot of new methods to learn more effectively. I learned how to create my own structure and essentially make my own class. I would read the books and then find extra readings and learn from other sources. I learned to retain information by reading and creating my own test and testing myself on the information. I relied on the information. I relied on a system of teachers, basically was what I did in the past, but now it was something that I didn't need anymore. I found new ways to study other than just the lectures and readings. So while I did read the books and listen to the lectures, I read articles and watched new videos and asked questions in healthcare leadership roles. So WG really just taught me new ways to learn. These lessons, they're definitely going to help me succeed in my career. Time management will help me in my career in many ways. As I start the process of looking for a new position in a new career, will be time consuming. I'm going to be more likely to have a method to get my resume out to the companies that I'm interested in a faster way. Once I'm hired, I'll be learning a position. I'll be able to do that quicker, partly because I'll be not wasting time anymore. I will use the short time during the first couple weeks to learn as much as possible in the most efficient way. When I get projects, I'll be able to come up with better plans on how to complete the project on time. I'll be able to schedule out tasks and assignments more effectively. Time management will make me just a more effective leader. I will be able to lead by example and have a team that works in a timely manner. So I should be able to see tasks needed to be accomplished from my career done quicker and more effectively. The being able to teach myself is going to be crucial in the new career, at least if I plan to succeed. I'll have the MBA in healthcare management, but I've never worked in healthcare, so I will have a lot of information that's going to be new to me. Some will be the position and learning that job at hand. Some's going to be new language. Healthcare has many specialized terms that I'm going to encounter and need to understand. While all leadership has aspects that will carry from one business to another, there will be new roles in healthcare that are just unfamiliar to me, and I'm going to need to learn those roles and have a full grasp on what the employees I lead each do individually. The organization I work for will be new to me, so I'm going to need to learn how they operate and what direction they plan to head and what the goals are of that specific organization. There will be a completely new culture for me to learn. So with having an entire new program of learning on my own and learning a new position and new company will be a little bit easier. There will be more confidence on day one. All the information I need to know for my new career, I'm going to be able to teach to myself. I'll be able to research more effectively and progress quicker. So I'll be able to make a self-taught class out of anything I need to learn for the rest of my career. So this will be a benefit really for the foreseeable future. As far as my future is concerned, I do have 3 SMART goals. The first one is I would like to take a healthcare leadership course offered by Barnes Hospital, and I would like to receive certification within the next 3 months. Barnes Hospital is a premier institution, and they have learning opportunities that can aid me in finding a new position. They offer learning opportunities, and those come from local viewpoints as well in the teachings. The next one, I would like to, over the next 4 weeks, join 3 local healthcare leadership discussion groups on LinkedIn and engage every week in the conversation to help essentially build new contacts and learn new information. So basically the discussion groups, it's going to keep me informed, it's going to keep me current on topics and keep me engaged in the industry, and I should be able to find new contacts that way, and hopefully that'll help me in the job search as well. And then the third one is actually to find a new position in the healthcare field in the next 6 months by completing the first 2 SMART goals and applying for 1 position a week starting at the end of May when those first goals are completed. So by applying for 1 a week, I will apply for many positions in a fairly short period of time, but I won't be overwhelmed and I won't be trying to do it all at the same time. Thank you. This is Travis Hulvey's presentation for C219 for the Capstone MBA Healthcare Management. Thank you.